What is going on? Welcome to the Sync Producer Spotlight. For anybody that is watching this that is not in the Sync Producer Hub, you might be wondering, what is the Sync Producer Spotlight? So basically, what we do is we have this community run by Anthony Clint Jr., where we are all getting our music as music creators into TV and film. We're all in this community together. We help each other. We follow a program. We have all the courses and support that we need to do that. If that's something that you are interested in, if you happen to be watching this and you're like, you know what, I've always done music and I've always wanted to make a living at it, and I just not sure where to even start, you have come to the right place. So what we do in this group is every 2 weeks or so we have a spotlight on a member, and I'm really excited about this week because we have Philip Scott Bailey. Some of you know him as Phil DeReal. He's been doing some big things lately. So I don't want to hesitate. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and bring him on.
Yo, what's up, man?
What is going on? Welcome.
What's going on, man? I'm excited to be here, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So at the start of all of these, I always ask the same question. What got you into music? Like when you were a little one, what
Yeah,
started you into music and what got you down this whole journey?
man. I mean, to be honest, bro, like music has always been around me. Like I grew up in a house that it was music played pretty much every weekend. My dad was really big on, the Platters, Michael Jackson. I can just go on and on about like all of the oldies that he used to play. We had a piano in the house. Um, But like what really sparked my interest was like my sister, she played the piano by ear. And I thought that was kind of, intriguing. I was probably about 8 when I started to realize what she was doing, because as a youngin, I would just see her play, but I didn't know that she wasn't reading, you know what I mean? But when I found out that she was playing by ear, she kind of explained it to me how she would do it. And actually she was the one that really got me inspired to actually um dissect music by ear too, because I would notice, and the crazy thing is that she's a doctor now, right? But like back then, like she was like the very first person that showed me um different parts in a song, and now that I'm thinking about it, it just kind of just jog my memory back. How did I even start playing by ear? It was because of her.
Mhm.
um she was playing, I think it might have been like an Usher song, right? And it was just this favorite part that she had, and she would say, "Don't you hear this part right here?" And she would hum that part, and it was like, either a piano part or a lead part. And like I'm sitting there trying to hear what she's hearing, and then eventually over and over again she keeps on replaying it, because that's what kind of got me even in her room when because she kept on playing it over and over again. I'm like, why do you keep on restarting it? It was annoying at first, right? But she explained to me what she was doing. She was like, this is my favorite part. And so ever since that day, I started listening to music that same way. I would dissect every single part. And then, now, fast forward to now, like I play keys by ear. I play bass guitar by ear. Like I'm actually, starting to learn orchestral music, and I'm like transcribing, an orchestra right now. I've been working on for like 2 months, and it's only 2 minutes
Oh.
long. But I mean, that's like my early, starting into music. I mean, like third grade is when I was introduced into poetry. I fell in love with poetry after I learned about that. I started writing raps, and I started rapping like at the age of 9, you know,
Mhm.
and man, I can go on and on. How far you want me to go?
No, that's good. That's good.
Like I've been involved in music like ever since, I told you, when I was 8, and it just started evolving to the next thing, you know.
Yeah. It's I always see these memes. It just kind of reminds me of that where you have like a normal person that hears a song and then
Yeah,
you have a music producer who hears a song and the
yeah,
different way we
yeah,
hear everything. now, right?
It's crazy. I can't listen to a song regularly. I just can't. I can't turn it off.
Yeah. So when you started, like, doing poetry and raps, like, who were some of your influences?
All right. It's kind of hard to say all my influences because some of them are under fire right now. But let's just say it was in the '90s, right? And there was a record label that was one of the hottest.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Biggie was under there. You
Mhm.
know, got Mace. All right, so you know what I'm talking about now, right? I can't, I can't, erase my history, but like I was a big fan, you know,
Yeah.
of the whole label, right? You know,
Nobody was talking about baby oil in the '90s. You're fine, don't worry about
all
it.
right, man. Listen. Man, but like, we got the biggies, man. We got, and to be honest, like when I first started rapping, I wasn't really paying attention to like punchlines and metaphors and lyricism. So like as a kid, I really was. I guess you could say I had to learn all of the basics first. I
Mhm.
had to learn how to write rhymes, words that rhyme. You know what I mean? Learn the cadences and stuff like that because I was that kid that would print out the lyrics and learn
Mhm.
it line by line and will rap it the same way that they rap it, and Busta Rhymes was also one of my favorite rhymes, my favorite rappers at the time. So I learned how to rap fast at an early age because I would sit there and practice. I got the lyrics right here, so I'm just rapping along with them. And
Mhm.
so that was probably one of the first things that I developed. Getting into being a rapper as a kid was being able to, rap fast and have all those cadences and all of that. So I wasn't really even paying attention to the lyricism or anything like that. No, there's no relation to Philip Big. I've been getting that my whole life.
That man has an amazing falsetto.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so you've listed out, mostly East Coast rappers, New York. Where are you from?
I'm from Maryland.
Okay.
Born and raised in Maryland. Closer to the DC side. We call this the DMV where I'm at. This the
Mhm.
part of Maryland that I am. So like, I don't know if everybody knows this about Maryland, DC, and Virginia, but a lot of people that speak about DC, Maryland, and Virginia, they think that all of Maryland is a part of the DMV, but it really isn't.
Mhm.
And so I'm like kind of right in the center of it all. Like I was 5 minutes away from DC. I was 5 minutes away from Virginia. I was literally right in the heart of the DMV, And we also have a genre called go-go music, and
Okay.
so that was really a big influence on me as well.
Yeah, I stayed in Newport News for a while.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, like early in my
that's
career,
far
like
down Virginia.
way
That's
down.
not
Yeah, yeah.
that's not the DMV.
But definitely go-go made its way down to us. So
That's what's up though. That was like what 3-4 hours south
yeah,
of Maryland, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah. It's
the
a good drive.
country. That's like the country part of Virginia, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, so playing the bass, playing the keys, rapping. When did you first get your hands on like a DAW and started producing music? When did that happen?
That happened later on. So, if you don't mind, I want to go back because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
lead. It's gonna lead up to the point where I actually got into a DAW. I feel like it would make sense for me to just start from the beginning of that. All right, so I did make a post like a few weeks ago about what my first DAW was. It was a video game.
Oh, right.
It was called like Music Maker. It came out on PlayStation, and I don't even think I was into making beats at the time. I was just I thought it was a cool looking game, and I started messing around with that because I was into music, but I just wasn't really too serious about the production part of it. So I was really just playing around in it for real. I didn't really even make any serious beats on that, but
Mhm.
to get into the more serious part of the production part was when I actually started playing the keys and I really wanted to learn. I would play around, with my sister when I was like 12 or something like that. But when I got into middle school, we started hearing about these go-go bands. That was the first time that I actually seen a go-go band was in middle school. because before then, no bands would ever come to our school or anything like that. But like, I actually seen my first go-go band in middle school, and the energy was crazy. You know what I mean? Seeing something like that live and seeing the
Hmm.
reaction, that they're getting from the crowd and all of that was just, it was a different kind of energy. It was like wow, like all my friends and all the students around me, they all know these songs and they're singing all the lyrics, and I didn't know the songs. I'm like, I'm like, I feel like I'm out the loop. You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, wow, this is kind of crazy. And honestly, I didn't really like go-go, growing up, until like middle school, right? But when we started to see people our age jumping into bands, joining bands, starting bands, then I started to spark my interest. And I really got to credit playing in a band for being able to learn multiple instruments, because it's like, I mean, you think about it. When you're in a band, you got like, if you're starting a band, it's probably going to be with your friends, right?
Hmm.
It's probably not going to be nothing, professionally put together. Like everybody was hand picked by some executive, right? Okay, so we're all friends, all right. Um, I started to play keys. I wasn't good at all. I'm playing one note at a time. You know what I mean? But it was the desire to want to sound good, and that pressure to have to sound good if you want to be able to play in front of people. And then you got your friends like, come on, you need to learn this because we need to start playing shows. It was like, I don't even feel like some of us were as serious about the music part. They just wanted the local popularity, to be honest. Let's be real. Some
Yep.
some people that join bands aren't really doing it for the love of the music. They're really doing it for the popularity. And I know that some of my friends were that way, right? And so anyways, all of these things were kind of pushing me to learn. And so eventually, I begged my mom to get me a professional keyboard. It was like $1,000. It was a Cord Triton.
Hmm.
She didn't think I was serious, and so she made me save up my half, of the money to get it. She said, if you save up half, because then I'll know you're serious, I'll put up the other half. And we ended up doing that because I guess she seen that I was serious about it. I'm actually learning songs at this point. And so that was like pretty much my first bit of seriousness when it comes to playing an instrument, picking something up. And I feel like that was really the beginning of the production, right?
Hmm.
And so now I said that we were friends. I got friends in the band. I got a friend that's playing the bass guitar. I got a friend that's playing the drums. And there's this downtime that we would have in practice. And so I start kind of paying attention to the other instruments now. I'm like, hey man, can you show me what you did on the bass? I kind of want to learn that trick that you did there. And they would show me a little something, and I would play it. I'm like, okay. And so same thing with the drums, and it was real. It was pretty normal for go-go bands. I don't know if other bands do this, but in go-go bands, I've seen other bands. I've been to other bands practices. I have friends that were in bands in the school that I went to, and they all did the same stuff. We would all switch instruments, like when there was downtime. The keyboard player would hop on the drums, the bass player would hop on the mic, the Congo player would hop on the bass, and we would all just switch instruments, just because it was fun. We were having fun, man. And eventually, I ended up buying my own bass guitar, and I learned how to play the bass. Turned out that I actually love the bass. I play the bass better than I play the piano now at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, but let me get back to the story. All right, so picked up the piano, picked up the bass, learned how to play the drums, and then when I got in college, I was about 17. I was introduced to Reason. I met this dude, that ended up playing for my band afterwards. Yeah, because I just so happened to walk past his dorm room, and I saw a $2,000 keyboard that I knew exactly what it was. It was a Roland Phantom X6, and
Hmm.
that was like one of my dream keyboards. And so like I couldn't stop without saying something. And that's like my best friend at this point now. Like we best friends for like 20 years now. Um, I stopped and I said, "Hey, is that a Roland? Is that a Phantom?" He was like, "Yeah, you want to play it?" Started playing it. The next thing you know, he introduced me to Our friend DB Bantino, he's a multi-platinum singer, songwriter, producer. But DB Bantino, we went to his apartment. He was living off campus. Um, he pretty much was the one that gave me my first copy of Reason and all my first sounds that I was ever given, and kind of gave me a crash course on how to use it. Because at the time, I was making like beats on my keyboard,
Yeah.
right? And I forgot to mention that part. Before I got to college, I was producing the music for the band.
Yeah.
Once I actually started to get good and all of that stuff, I was producing music on the keyboard. And so,
Did
after
your
I was, I'm sorry,
did
go
your
ahead.
did your keyboard have like 20 seconds of sample time? Or you know what I mean? Like I remember the keyboards back in those days where you could barely you had
No,
to
it,
program
it,
it and
yeah, no, it wasn't. I definitely had a keyboard like that I bought at the pawn shop. Somebody had told me to get one of these older keyboards from like the 80s, and it had like a floppy disk and all of that. Yeah, because I saw that was popular too, like Kurzweil's and stuff like that. I forgot what it was called. It was like a oh man, I can't remember the name of it. It was like dang, I can't remember. I know I'm gonna remember by the time we get off this interview.
I was thinking
Like,
of the
yeah,
the ASR 10.
that's exactly what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
How did you know? Like, how did
I
you
don't
know?
know.
That's what I was trying to say.
We all grew up with the same stuff, I think,
That's
being
crazy.
around
That
it,
was
yeah.
exactly the one I was thinking of. Wow. Yeah. So the ASR 10 was like the first keyboard that I had like that. Bought it at the pawn shop. I couldn't even figure out the floppy disk thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I ended up getting the Korg Triton, and so I was like, all right, well, we just gonna run with that.
Yeah. I remember that Korg Triton. That was the best, like, brass simulation that, keyboards had back then. Like, it really good brass sounds for back in those
Yeah,
days.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, like I used to walk past that keyboard every time we would go to Guitar Center or something like that. Man, I was like, one day I'm gonna get this keyboard.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. Alright, so you had Reason. What did he give you, a crack copy or a legitimate
It
copy?
was a crack copy. I got the real version now, just in case anybody's watching.
Oh, yeah, Tim Bird knows all about it. Actually,
Yeah,
that's what, if I'm not mistaken, Tim can keep me honest on this because we go way back as well, Birdman Pro.
yeah.
I think that's what Timberland was on, if I remember right, like, when we met him back in the day. Like, he
Ready.
used to do his beats on I think it was an ASR 10. He'll let me know if that's right or not, but
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Mhm. That's
Alright,
crazy.
so you got your cracked copy.
I got the crack copy of Reason 4.
Right, right, reason 4, yep,
Yeah, yeah.
computer crashing every
All
time,
of that.
you forget to save, you lose 3 hours of work.
Yeah, man. Just all of the above, man. I done lost hard drives done crashed on me, all of the above, man. I've been through it all, man.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Alright. Well,
But
what
that
did,
was that was it though. Like Reason was the first real doll that I started with, and I've been using Reason ever since, man. Like I tried to use Fruity Loops, I really couldn't get with it. I even tried to use Logic. It took me like 3 hours to make a drum pattern. I I record all my vocals in Logic though. I'm not hating on Logic because I love Logic for mixing and doing my vocals, but I just can't make beats in Logic, man. I can't figure
that's all good.
it out.
I mean, once you know your DAW, like, all you need to do is get your ideas onto your computer, right? Like,
Exactly. Like
so,
I got to
yeah.
the point like, why would I switch now, man? I got to the point where I can cook up, at least a loop in 10 minutes. Like, get my idea across and you know, I can arrange the beat later. But that's how I've been doing like a lot lately. I will cook up the idea in 10 minutes and I'll go through 4 or 5 beats in one setting, in a good hour and a half, to get the foundation down. I'll come back later and finish them off. But I just feel like it's just so much more effective. And I was watching an interview with Zaytoven one time, and something that he said to me said on the interview made sense. He was like, he's like, I try to get the idea down as quick as possible.
Mhm.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, I used to be the guy that would click all my drums in with the drum pad. There's something called Redrum and Reason, where
Mhm.
it's like it kind of resembles an MPC, the digital version.
Right.
I did stuff like that before, but after seeing that interview with Zaytoven and seeing that he would do it with an MPC, but he would actually play it live with his fingers like this,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it changed everything. I started doing it that same exact way. I even got his his drum kit. He had like this drum plugin called Funky Fingers. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard
But
of that. Yeah.
yeah, man. I don't know. He stopped updating it though, man. I had to email him and all that. But but it was set up so good, man. It had all the how you have like a drum kit, in a keyboard that's stopped.
Uh-huh.
So
Yep.
it's like it was pretty much like that, except it would have all his drums there, and it was really dope, man. It saved you so much time. You got the kick in the right spot, the snare the right spot, the hi hat right spot, and all the
Mm-hmm.
other percussion instruments, just like you would have in a drum kit that comes on a stock keyboard. And I was like,
Yep.
bro, that was perfect. Why would you why would you stop updating that? So I ended up making my own. You know what I mean? And I'm still using it till this day.
Yeah, I've heard two sides to the workflow thing that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Like, um, there's two halves of your brain. There's a creative side and then more the analytical side. And
yeah,
when you're just putting your 816 bars down or whatever, and you're just creating, you're like really in that creative mode. It sounds like you put a lot of that creative stuff down immediately,
yeah.
and then when you go back to it, you can start doing all the technical stuff and
Exactly,
formatting and
exactly.
transitions and all that.
Exactly. Like it's it's pretty much the formula and the strategy that I use. Like you know, in a sense, I kind of turn off that part of my brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's thinking too much. You know,
yeah.
it just I already know you're probably the same way when you create. Like you just go and you get into this mental state where you're not really thinking about it. You're just feeling it.
Well, let me ask you this: do you mix as you go or mix later?
Nope. I mix later.
You mix later. All right, all
Yeah.
right. I was
Yeah.
curious. I
Hey,
mix.
I don't know if my bad. I don't know.
No, no, go ahead.
I know a lot of y'all. I actually made a post about it. Me not mixing my own music, man. But like a lot of y'all have really inspired me to really get into it and get serious about it. I'm mixing all my stuff now. I'm mixing, I'm mastering, and I had some stuff accepted too, man. So I appreciate y'all, man. Shout out to y'all for that, man. That, like
Oh,
the the encouragement is real, in the community. So shout out to y'all for even giving me the courage and the confidence. Like some of y'all say, man, you're an engineer, man. You can do it, man. Use your ears. I'm like, you know what? Everything that y'all saying, I'm making sense. Even you gave me advice that day.
yeah. Oh, here I'm gonna blow the horn. Hold up.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah,
Something.
man. Trust me. I read every comment. I read every comment, and I implemented it. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was a total game changer, man. So yeah, bro. Like I don't mix it until later. You know what I mean? I still cook them the same way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy because I don't mix it in reason. I mix it in logic. Like I don't know, man. Like I'm just used to doing, any type of mixing I'm doing is always been in logic. You know what I mean? Because I've been recording vocals for years and I've been using logic for years at this point. And so, I don't know. Some people may think that is I'm kind of working backwards by doing
Mm-hmm.
it, but I'm still busting out stems, out of my reason to
Yep.
go to another dog. I mean, hey, whatever, call it what you want, but it's working.
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna pose this question in the chat since it came up. First, let me shout out everybody that's in here: Rich and Rich Rosen, Jason Rebels, Michael Connor Music, Birdman Pro. We already talked about him. Let's see, is anybody else in here? I don't know. Oh, Ray Garcia.
Mhm,
Okay. I'm gonna ask you because I do mine a little bit. For me, some of the mixing is part of the creative process. Like, I'm
mhm,
like, if I add an instrument, I'm like, well, how is this gonna sound in the mix when I add it?
mhm.
Am I gonna use a stereo imager? Am I gonna put a delay on it? Am I gonna
Yeah,
put some reverb on it? All of that is like part of my creative process.
yeah.
So I'm doing some of the mixing as I go, and then I get technical later.
Mhm.
Um, just let me know in the chat, like, what do you do? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I just think, like,
Yeah,
I think there is a creative brain that you
yeah,
use, and then
yeah.
later on you use your analytical side.
Yeah, no,
Either
I
way.
mean, I can agree with you on that. I mean, because at the end of the day, people do say that mixing is also creative too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can really get creative with your mixes. And I feel like I do that as well when I mix, because sometimes I'll pan things, left and right, to kind of get you looking at the speakers a certain way. You know what I mean? I just always thought that was cool when I would hear people's stuff, so I'm
Mhm.
doing that in my own mixes now that I know how to mix. But I mean, um, I guess my way of doing it is like sometimes I will put something on it. Like if I feel like it needs something, like let's say my piano is just I don't want it just to be dry piano. Like I might need a little reverb, or I want it to sound totally different. I might put something on it, like some type of effect that is like chopping it up and making it sound crazy, so that I can
Mhm.
have a good loop to go off of and make a trap beat or something like that. I will do that because it will affect my creativity and finishing the beat if I don't feel the loop first.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of my stuff is already somewhat pre-mixed for the producing part of it. Like I'll have like a my kick, with a clip on it, you know what I mean, so that it's like really knocking. I have to feel that. I got to feel my kick.
Mhm.
I got to feel my snare. It got to really smack. And when I export it, I will take all that stuff off before I export it because I want to do that in the actual mix. But when I'm making the beat, it does help my production because I do gotta feel it, even though it's not, crispy clean yet, it feels good. You dig what I'm saying? So like I feel
Yeah.
like that's what I need in order for me to keep on creating.
I agree. Yeah, and if you don't sidechain your kick and your bass,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
just sounds muddy and you're not
Yeah,
feeling it. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, that
exactly.
makes sense. Everybody's kind of agreeing with what you're saying in here, and I
Yeah.
think Birdman said it both best when, he said it's just gotta sound good.
Yeah, it
So,
gotta sound good. You gotta feel it, man. Because if I don't feel it,
yeah.
man, I'm probably gonna go to the next beat or I'm gonna just walk out the room because it's like I'm not feeling it today.
Alright, cool. Well, you know what? Let's, bring up one of your songs. So, you shared a couple from your reality TV dramedy stuff.
Mhm.
You have the best artwork and cover art I've ever seen, and I'll show that in a minute. Definitely tells a story.
Yeah, shout out to canva.com.
Yeah, I just used, ChatGPT for my last one. I was pretty happy with that too.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah.
But alright, we got fighting words, and we got bossy women.
Hmm.
Which one do you wanna play first, and what do you wanna tell us about
We
it?
can we can start from the top with fighting words. It's both hip hop dramedy. I've been really getting into hip hop dramedy lately. I feel like it's kind of mixing what I do as a producer because I've been making rap and trap beats for like the past 2 years straight. I
Mhm.
kind of just been focusing on that because also I'm an artist as well, and so that's like kind of the type of beats that I like. And then just kind of studying like TV shows and studying Clint, because I know that he does some hip hop dramedy himself.
Mhm.
Um, I noticed that that's a pretty popular genre in reality TV, which is what I'm kind of pushing towards. And to be honest, like it comes very easy to me to do hip hop dramedy. So with that being said, fighting words is like a good mixture of my trap style and the dramedy. So
Alright, let's check it out. Here we go. Fighting words. Nope, y'all ain't ready for that one yet. Yeah, that was fire. That was incredible.
No,
Oh,
I
Jason
appreciate it.
Revels is here too. I can't believe I didn't mention that he was here as well. I think he's skipping work to watch this, so or he's on a gig. He said he was on a gig, but he's been watching this whole time.
That's
So
what's up. Shout out to him, man. We got a project together too, man.
oh, that's dope. That's awesome. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, what I loved about that track was yeah, I can tell you've come a long way with sync because there were 3 definite edit points that a music supervisor could choose from. It had a sting ending, it was mixed well. You said that, you weren't doing your own mixing, when you started.
yeah,
When we were talking a little bit earlier, I think you started in April of this year. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah. I joined the community in April for this year.
Yeah. So, if you just started mixing this year, that's pretty incredible because that sounded as professional as I've ever heard. So,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
I can't, lie and say that I just started mixing this year because to be honest, I've been recording for years. But
Mhm.
I just, there are certain skills that I didn't have. There was plugins that I didn't know what they did, and I was just being lazy, you know what I mean? To be honest, I didn't know what a compressor was. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, like I had somebody give me a template for vocals, you know what I'm saying? So like I kind of was just cheating this whole time, until like I got to the point where like, all right, you gotta learn this.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so let's start with that. When did you find the Sync Producer Hub? When did you join? What made you join? And how's it helped you so far?
So I joined in April, but I didn't know about the Sync Producer Hub, but I've known about Clint, for a little bit of time. I kept on seeing this guy on my timeline. I'm like, who's this guy? Just keep on scrolling past him. To be honest, like I just felt like, I wasn't, because I've known about Sync, for a while. To be honest, like there's a little bit of a backstory with that. Um 2016 was actually when I actually learned what Sync was, and I took this composer course. I know I'm getting off topic just a little bit, but I just feel like I should talk about it. I took a composer course from this one guy in 2016, and he was pretty much he had like a curriculum that he put together. It was a bunch of videos, and you watch them all to kind of show you how to format your music for sync licensing. And so that was where I first learned. That was 2016. That's where I first learned how to, um, format your beats. But but no. So, anyways, I've known about Clint for a while. I I don't know, man. I just kind of had a bad taste in my mouth about Sync a little bit because I had a bad experience with after I took that course. I got on a call with that same guy, and he had another. I don't even think he was a composer. I think he just had a publishing company, and pretty much long story short, man, you were able to bring a couple of beats, to the call. You had to pay like $200 to get on the call, right? And there was other producers on there, and long story short, I was offered a deal, that day, like on the call, but had people look over it. It just wasn't, in my favor, the deal. So I didn't take the deal. And, I just didn't look into Sync anymore after that. So anything that reminded me of Sync, that I would just kind of scroll past it, you know. But I don't know. Something, I'm going to tell you what it was. I'm going to tell you what really, really got me interested in joining this time around. I was like, yo, like, because I've been in the Sync for, I would say seriously since like 2023, right? I know some of y'all know that I came in with placements. Um, my first actual placement was in 2019 on a BET movie called Angly Ever After. That came from a relationship that I had. I was working under a guy, that I've known for over 15 years. When I first started producing, he was like a go-go legend, and he pretty much took me under. He pretty much took me under his wing, and I've been working with him for 15 years. I've been producing and writing, ghost writing for him and his artists and his bands. He's kind of like a music entrepreneur in a way. He puts together a lot of projects. He's Now he's in radio. He has his own radio show on like 92 something. But anyways, long story short, he became a music supervisor for this movie, and it was like a 2 movie deal. Um, and I was already working with him, so I just kind of, got brought in to that situation by default because, he was like, hey, we're working together, so you're a part of the music department. And so I ended up getting about 8 songs in the movie, and it was a really dope experience. Went to the BET red carpet affair. That was my first, um, real placements that I've ever gotten on TV, and that was what really, that like, just that whole experience, seeing like because there was there was a premiere. We went to the premiere. We all watched the movie. Everybody that was there, there were celebrities there that were in the movie. They all came out, and just hearing my music being used, in this movie, it was a game changer for me. It just kind of really just opened my eyes. I'm like, at that time, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but after hearing my music on that, I know exactly what I want to do now.
Mhm.
As a music producer, and so I didn't really jump in, because honestly, that was something that I didn't have to really work, to get any information. That was somebody that brought me in, and so I I was kind of putting my I don't know, my future in somebody else's hands, for
Mhm.
lack of better words. I was just the guy that was kind of just waiting, for stuff to fall into my lap, right? And there was empty promises that were made. There were, like, oh, we got this next, we got this next, and I was just kind of like, all right, cool, let me know when. And time just went by. I'm like, all right, I got to do something. And
Mhm.
so um, I used to run a studio, and I would record a lot of different artists, people that I went to school with. And, since I wasn't mixing, they would, tell me to send their stem to their engineer. And one of the engineers that I was sending stems to, he just so happened to post something on IG and say, is there anybody who, is like a songwriter who wants to, tackle some of these sync music opportunities with me? And, I hit him up. This is 2021. And
Mhm.
so long story short, man, he sent me a mock brief or whatever. He just said, he just pretty much put something together and sent it to me, sent me the beat, and pretty much was testing me to see how I would do, like if it was a real brief. And so long story short, man, I wrote the song, sent it back to him in like an hour and a half or something like that, and never really heard back from him for months.
Mhm.
But he ended up hitting me in 2022 and saying, "Hey, man, I got this publishing company who's interested in the song. They want to pitch it." Um, they ended up pitching it and getting some placements off of it, and then it ended up turning into a bigger deal. The bigger deal was with BMG. They had a project that they needed 9 songs for, and they asked me if I was interested in putting a team together to get these 9 songs prepared because they needed it like ASAP, and they wanted a female voice for um, most of the songs. And the song that I did with my friend, that was also included in that album. So they needed 9 songs. It was a total of like 10. That they wanted 9 songs. And so me and this other producer that I know, a multi-platinum producer, his name is Mark Henry. He's also DMV based. We pretty much produced the tracks. He he had an artist already. He had a female artist. She's a rapper singer. Her name is Anna Mays, and he had her pretty much performing the songs, and he had his writer write the songs. A guy named Ace. I know a guy named Chuki. He knows about him. They've been working together. Chuki's a part of the community too. Y'all probably might have heard of him. And so long story short, man, that one song turned into that 10 song album. And that one album got me over 50 placements, and that was with BMG. And so that was 2021. And so after that happened, that publishing company, they reached out and said, "Hey, man, you really, knocked that out the park. We want to work with you." And so, I've been working with them ever since. Things kind of got a little bit quiet. 2021 we got that deal, and then 22 was kind of, 22, and then 23 was a little bit quiet. Um, and for a whole year, it was like I would get briefs here and there, one song, two songs here, but it wasn't really that consistent. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so during that time, I was just kind of just working on my craft. And this year, in the beginning of this year, that was when that Universal situation came about. And so I wanted to bring this up because it was kind of a snowball effect and what even led me here to the community, right? So
Yep.
doing that project with Universal, like it woke me up. You know what I mean? I was like, I want to do this all the time. Like I'm kind of tired of the doing it here, doing it there. I need to figure this out for myself, right? And then this is when I seen this one guy, Anthony Clinton, on my timeline again. I'm like, man, you know what? I'm gonna just click on it. So I finally clicked on it, and it sounded like the guy know what he was talking about. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm gonna try it out, man, because I need some information. I need
Mhm.
information. I really need this information. And even if I don't like everything that I see in this community, at least I'll leave with what I need. And that's what I was thinking. That was my whole thought process coming into it. But I mean, ever since I really joined, like, bro, I can't even see myself leaving. This is like why would I leave?
Yeah. That Yeah, I think your story is a lot of people have like if you're a music creator, like
Yeah,
share it have probably all been in a position where we put our careers in somebody else's hands,
yeah,
like you were talking about earlier. And then, even when you had your deal with, um, you know, uh, your first deal where the things were coming in like, every once in a while,
right.
you were still like, I'm putting everything, all my eggs in one basket with this one
Ex-
company,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
But now, from what you've learned in the group, I assume you're branching out, you're making more and more relationships with more music libraries, more music supervisors, and all of that, right?
Yep.
Do you have a job, or are you only doing
Yeah.
music?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do have a job. Yep. So I do construction. So I've been doing construction for 17 years. I'm pretty, decent at it. Like I was renovating bathrooms, and I'm still doing similar work now. You know.
All right. Do you have any other revenue streams besides sync that you're considering for that you already are doing or that you're considering doing for music? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I do side work every now and then. Like really don't ghostwrite anymore. That was like something that was really paying very well for me. But I kind of stopped doing that because I didn't really want to work with certain artists anymore.
Yeah.
So I kind of stopped offering that service. But I still do like studio work for like bass lines. People hit me up for like bass lines for their music. So I
Yeah.
I lay like live bass on tracks. I do that on the side.
This is more of a question for me because I'm trying to leave my 9 to 5 and do this full time.
Yeah.
Are you trying to do the same thing? Do you have a plan together?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily. Well, I guess you could say I kind of have a plan. I don't have like a plan with a spreadsheet like you, but you know what I mean. Like that is my plan. To be able to leave my 9 to 5 and do this full time, and which is one of the reasons why I'm going so hard at this. And I needed that information. You know what I mean? Like Clint's the curriculum that he put together. It's all there. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm seeing the results already. I've only been in the community for how many months now? Since April,
Yeah.
5 months. And I've already gotten, responses from libraries, that are interested in, doing it. I just signed a deal, last week for a library. And I just got an email back yesterday or 2 days ago from another library, and it's just kind of a
Yeah.
snowball effect. I'm just like, I wish I would have joined sooner, you know, it's
Yeah.
crazy, because like you were saying, I was putting my eggs all in one basket, and it really doesn't feel good when you want to do this full time and like you
Mhm.
have a good understanding of how this works. Like
Yeah.
all the work that you're putting in now, you're not really going to see the fruits of your labor until months from now. It's sometimes even a year, and if you're sitting, for months, it doesn't feel good because that's months that you're not gonna, see any revenue for. You're not gonna see, any placements. You're not gonna get your royalty statement is gonna look the same, pretty much. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And so I was like, no, I got to do something. Like, it's something woke up. So something woke up in me. I was watching a lot of Clint's videos too, man. By the way, like before I joined, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And like just hearing the thought process, the mentality that he has, like a lot of the stuff that he's saying is making sense. Like I don't know if anybody here, joined the community without watching his YouTube videos, but like you should really go back and watch it. Like he's dropping some gems in there that
Mhm.
can really change your life. Like I was even telling some other people that there was this one video in particular that kind of changed my life in a way that he didn't even know. He like long story short, I know I'm kind of going on topic just a little bit, but I just kind
No.
of want to give him his flowers for real. But like there was this one video, where he started it off. He said it's 4 a.m. and he's on camera and he was like, I know you guys think that waking up early is cool. It's not, right? It was like, a little sense of humor or whatever, but like really what he was pretty much the point that he was making was, he started doing this, before he started working and doing this full time. And it was his way of kind of getting ahead, even with his 9 to 5. And that hit home for me
Yeah.
because, a lot of us, are still working 9 to 5s. And, you know, like, to be honest, like we all, sometimes come home tired and we don't feel like doing anything. We don't feel like being creative. But this was a cheat code. He said, nah, I wake up 2 to 3 hours before I got to go to work and I
Mhm.
work on these things. I work on whatever I got to do. And then I clock and I'm like, bro, that's
Yeah.
genius. That's genius. It's like, it definitely takes a different level of, commitment, and what's the word I'm looking for? Discipline. And, but I mean, it's a game changer. I did it. Like I'm doing it. I'm not
Yeah.
all the way consistent with it, but when I really have to be, it's a game changer. I wake up early. I wake up about 3 hours before I gotta go to work, and I
Mhm.
get things done. There's no excuse. There's literally no excuse. Like I know it's not easy. It's not fun, but
Mhm.
if you're serious about it, get up and get the
Yeah.
work done because it's gonna be the same thing when you get home from work and you're dead tired. You're not gonna want to feel like doing anything. So yeah, that is the answer. Get up and get it
Yeah.
done. No excuses.
Um, Jason Revels is in a utility closet right now listening to you.
Hey, that's
Hide
crazy.
hiding out from whatever gig he's on, so
Wow,
yeah,
man.
so I think, both of you have a lot of discipline and commitment,
Yeah,
as he
yeah,
said.
man. It's important, man. Like you really got to be disciplined, like in this industry in this field, man. Because like this is that one thing that nobody's gonna be standing over your shoulder and seeing if you're working. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you miss the brief or you miss the opportunity, like okay, you missed it. Somebody else will get it.
And a big part of that I don't think we talk about that much in the hub is you gotta get your family in on it and agreeing and understanding your vision and what you're trying to do. I don't know if you have, like, a family or
Yep,
kids or any. Yeah.
yep. Married,
So
got 2 kids. I got a daughter who's 6, and I got a son who's 11. And yeah, now wifey, she's on board. She knows I've been doing this, and it's been on and off. She's like really kind of looking at the financial side of things, like is it gonna pay the bills, that type of thing. And once I pretty much broke everything down to her, like once she sees the vision and she sees that, okay, I get
mhm,
it. It's a numbers game. I broke it down to her in a way that she can understand. This is a numbers game. You really, the more placements, well, not the places, but the more music you got out there that is signed and is getting placed, then the bigger your royalty check is going to be. And the goal is to get as much music signed
yeah,
as possible and get as much music placed as possible so that you can live off of this.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you'll keep getting those royalties, like, 70 years after you're dead.
exactly.
You know what I'm
Yep,
saying? So,
yep, exactly,
your kids will get that money, she'll get that money,
exactly.
depending
Yep,
on which one of you dies first.
right. Somebody gonna get it. Yep.
Alright, cool. Well, let's hop into your next song. Let me back up. Hold on. There we go. Alright. I had to back it up because we already played a little bit of it. This one's
Yeah,
called "Bossy Women."
yes, sir.
Anything you wanna let us know about this one before I kick it off?
No, I mean it's pretty much kind of the same concept, hip hop dramedy. This one's not as trappy.
Okay.
Kind of got a little bit smoother chords on it with the strings, but same concept though, reality TV.
All right, let's check it out. Let me share my screen. Here we go. Bossy Women. Let's go. Yes. Oh man. That okay. So first look at these waveforms. You see any similarities? You got your intro, you got your A section, your B section, which doesn't have as
Yeah.
many drums, little breakdowns, and then you got your big finish.
Yeah.
Um, what I really liked about that one was you brought in this new element in the third section that was completely new. Those like synth chords.
Hmm.
Woo! It was like a whole new. It's like a whole new song almost, but yet the same
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
incredible.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so for anybody out there, oh, hold on, let me show all the fire emojis that are coming through. Anybody out there that might be new to producing for sync, that's what they look for. That's what the supervisors are looking for. They're looking for those edit points. They're looking for sections that have at least one or two elements that they haven't heard before that makes your final section like completely new. You know what I mean? And that sting ending. So great work.
I appreciate it, man. Shout out to Clint, man, because he got a couple of videos out there. It's on his regular YouTube channel. So like for people that they aren't in the community, like man, when I seen that video, I was like, bro, you're dropping gems. I can't believe you dropped this video for free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I seen that video, it's two of them, the two of them that he did a breakdown on. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, you just gave away like thousands of dollars right there with that video. Like for me, that's super valuable, right?
Mhm.
For anybody who has, some experience in producing music and you can get that professional sound, that right there is a game changer. I mean, he already said it like that. Like in that video, he even said that he's going to start implementing that more into his productions because he had a team that was giving him feedback throughout this project because I guess he had it was a hip hop dramedy album that he did. I'm not sure who it was, a West One or something like that, but like the people were giving him feedback and they said we want you to put some edit points here and here, and when he broke it down, it all made sense. When
Mhm.
you think about the usage and all of that, you're giving them so many options. You know what I mean? You're making
Yeah.
it easier on the editor, and if that increases your chances to getting the placement, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you put this in most, or if not all, of your beats?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Rich Rosen says, "Gonna make you a submission you can't refuse."
that's that's the goal. That is the
Yeah.
goal. Yeah, it's been working, bro. Like all of my newest music that I've been producing and submitting to these libraries. If anybody's listening, if you're not putting edit points in your music, try
Mhm.
it. Try it because I haven't been getting those. Like, the people that reached back out, I think I got a couple of rejection emails, but it wasn't because of the music. It was because it wasn't their style. Maybe I overlooked, the genres that they're accepting.
Yeah.
They just weren't accepting hip hop, right? But for the people that reach back out, they're like, this sounds amazing. This sounds incredible. I'm getting like awesome feedback.
Yeah.
So it's working. Like, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it, man. You should try it.
Yeah. And obviously dramedy is a big one. There's I mean, if you think about how many channels there used to be in the 90s when you only had cable
Yeah.
versus how many streaming services and platforms and all of that there is now, and all the shows that need that type of music, how many reality shows there are.
Yeah.
Oh, let me ask this. I know we're coming towards the end. If you have a few more minutes, I do have one question.
Yep.
I'm curious about.
Yep.
Have you had a placement from either like a show you've never heard of, or just like a surprise? Like, I never thought this track would have ended up on this show.
Bro, I got placements on a lot of shows I never heard of.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I actually can pull up my I got my IMDb right here. A lot of this stuff I've never heard of. I mean, some of the stuff that I'm getting these placements on, like, to be honest, I've never even heard of Love Island until my publisher brought it to my attention. And
Hmm.
it was the first time I had an opportunity to make music for them. It was for BMG, and it was for Love Island UK. And for some reason they wanted me to make changes. I made changes to it, then we didn't hear anything back from them, and then it ended up getting picked up somewhere else. But we ended up getting placements anyway with Love Island US from different tracks that I already had in BMG's catalog.
Hmm.
Love Island was something I never heard of. I never heard of Married to Medicine until I got the placement. Love and Marriage. I don't really watch a lot of TV, to be honest,
You
but
don't have time. You're up at 5 in the morning.
yeah, yeah, like, man, I watch this computer screen. That's what I watch. I'm watching a little more TV now, because I'm studying it. I'm doing it for that reason, educational purposes,
Yeah.
or if it's movie night with the wifey. But a lot of these shows, man, I've never heard of it. But I'm getting placements in other countries, you know. But like, I would say, to be honest, man, like half of the shows that I get placements on, I never heard of them until I seen it on my royalty statement.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I've had some that way too. I was just curious. Philip Davis, yes, this will be. I mean, this is linked in the hub, so it'll be. I don't know if we're gonna repost it in the hub, but it's right now it's pinned. So as soon as this is over, as soon as we end the stream, then the recording will come through. So it's the same link you're using right now. You can just go back to this link later. One more question
Yeah.
before we go. What's in the future? Like, what are your plans? What are you excited about?
So I'm excited about a lot, to be honest, man. Like, as we were talking about my plan and what my plan is, like, I want to do this full time. And so one thing that I thought of, what? There's power in collaboration. A
Mm.
lot of members already know that, we already got projects together. So far, since I've been in the hub, since April, I've made about 6 albums with members. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Damn.
So,
Okay.
you know, um, I'm gonna continue to collaborate with composers, man. Because I mean, I just feel like it's somebody said it the other day, the spider web effect, you
Mhm.
know,
Yep.
and like it makes perfect sense, right? So you think about it like this: I have relationships over here, you have relationships over there. We're both pitching this thing. I mean, if I get the placement over here, then your name is ringing bells where I am.
Mhm.
Vice versa. You pitch it over there, my name is ringing bells in all of the libraries over there. And then it's just a win-win for everybody. It's gonna, our music is gonna spread. The more placements, we're all gonna get. It just makes sense. I'm trying to make as much music as I can make, man. And
Mhm.
like, I pretty much made a vow that I'm not going to take any more breaks. I don't care what I got going on. Ever since that Universal project in January, I haven't stopped working. Um, I started creating my own opportunities. Before I even found this community, I started making my own albums. I pretty much I formatted it the same way that the Universal album was. You know, I
Mhm.
paid attention to the production, and you know, because it wasn't something that I produced. It was a composer from Universal. His name is Buster Funk, and you know, I pretty much paid attention to what he did and what worked, and I started making my own albums with that same concept. I'm like, if this worked, let me do that again. You know what I mean? I'm just
Yeah.
doubling down on what's working. And if I don't have anything going on, you know, if it's dry, you know, I'm not getting any briefs, I'm gonna make my own albums that I know that are gonna, you know, be syncable. And you know, I'm keeping myself busy, man. You know, because at the end of the day, like all I'm doing is building up my catalog, and I'm gonna get this music out there, man.
Yes,
So
sir.
you
Those are
know,
some gems right there. Pay attention to what's already working, like, and,
exactly.
you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
There's no need, man. No
Yeah.
need to reinvent the wheel. So I'm excited for that, man. I'm excited for the, you know, this journey with these new libraries that I'm about to embark on. Just signing new contracts. I'm waiting on another contract, and you know, I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty much, you know, I'm just anxious to see how they do business. I'm anxious to see how they work. You know, I'm anxious to see, you know how much, how many placements I can get with different libraries that I'm signing with,
Yep.
and it's so much to be excited for, man. So
That's
that's
aw Are you going to Shades of Sync? I don't remember if you're going or
I
not.
am. That's also
Oh,
what's
yeah.
another thing I'm excited for. That's what's coming for me in November. I'll be down there, man.
Alright. Well, I know Jason Rebels, Birdman Pro, I'm gonna be there, so, we'll all
Oh
hang
yeah,
out. I don't uh, I can't remember if Michael Connor's going or not. Anybody else in the chat, are you gonna be there? Let us know in the chat, and we'll see you there.
yeah, man. Yeah, no, I think you're missing somebody. Who else? Who else did you do a spotlight on?
Oh, Nate.
He's
Nate,
coming.
yeah, he's
He's
coming.
coming. Yeah,
Yeah. I just didn't see him in the chat in this particular stream, so anyway, I'm probably missing somebody, I'm sorry if I am. We need to make a list, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah,
get
bro.
a
Yeah,
get a picture of everybody, be like, "Okay, this is this person."
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Michael
he said
Connor's
he's
gonna be
coming.
there. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
coming.
yeah, alright, cool.
That's
I
what's
thought
up.
you were gonna be there, I was trying to remember. Yeah, alright,
That's
cool.
what's up, man. It's gonna be a
Alright.
good time.
Yeah, it should be good. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Before we go, I do want to mention if you're somebody who happens to be watching this podcast or listening to this stream, um, Philip Scott Bailey, Phil DeReal, just dropped a lot of gems right here. And if you want to be part of the community, if you want to be part of the Sync Producer Hub and learn all about turning your music into cash, about leaving your 9 to 5 and trying to make a living at this music thing, join the hub. There's a link in the description, so just go there. You can learn more about it. Um, Thank you so much. It's been
I
a
appreciate
pleasure. I'm gonna
you. Yeah,
see you at the Shades of Sync. Is
I
there
appreciate it.
any parting words, any shout outs, anything you want to do before we call this one?
Nah, man, I just want to say, man, appreciate you for bringing me on here, man. And I appreciate the encouragement, you know, and all the advice from everybody that's in the chat, you know, and everybody in the community, man. I really, you know, I'm excited to be a part of the community, man. And, you know, just yeah, man. Let's continue to keep working. Let's continue to keep on submitting music, bro.
All right. We'll see you in the hub. We'll see you
All
in the
right,
next one.